So talking about sexual abuse today and how much it's everywhere, like it's always going on. And how's that, Tara?
Yeah, I mean, I've been raped twice in my life by two different people. Well, one was like an ongoing abuse situation over a period of years, and the other one was like a isolated incident when I was in my teens. Almost not every woman that I know has been raped, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's more probably than haven't been raped. That's certainly in circles of people that I know. And it just has a huge, huge impact on not only my life, but Matt's life, my children's life, my overall well-being for the whole of my life since that happened. And it's not something you can ever really
Can't erase it, can
you? No, you can't take that out of my history. So it's never going to not be a part of my history. And obviously it's something I've thought about a lot over the years, and it's very difficult to go from being somebody who feels sexually free and okay and unabused, and then you become somebody who has been abused, and so that your trust levels just don't really come back to the same. You can never go backwards from it. It's not something you ever get over. It's not something you ever get past. It's always something that you're managing from then on. And so even now, even though we have a healthy sex life and I trust Matt and he's never been anything other than kind towards me sexually, there's still so much emotional impact from those events and those relationships into how I step towards sex, how I feel about it, how I can how much givingness I can have within it. It's just so complex. It's unbelievably layered and complex. It's unbelievably difficult, and I know it's not just me. There's countless women in this situation. So if you hashtag me too, and so I wanted to talk about it because I don't really know what the answer is, but if so many women are being raped, that means so many men are raping, and I'm not really sure why they're doing it. I mean, certainly in my case, both times it was times when I'd rejected the person, and so then they were one was just straight up just angry and just like, nah, you can't say no to me, and just did what he wanted to do anyway, because I think he felt so I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. Like, it beggars belief. I actually don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I think it's to do with control. I think it's to do with he was demoralised. I think it's to do with his lack of understanding of how to feel okay in himself, because no one who feels okay is going to go and do that, because you just wouldn't. It would ruin how you felt about yourself. So I don't. It's such a complex, layered thing. It's not like, oh, he was such an evil person to do this awful thing to me. It's like, no, he was so messed up to have got himself into a situation where he thought that was the best idea. And so that his set of circumstances that led him to think that that was the best solution to his feelings is a tragedy. And I think that's the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, really, is how to help men to not be in that situation where they think that that is the best option. Because, yeah, to my mind, there's no way that he's coming out of that thinking, oh yeah, he's a good person. He's going to have to do such a hard internal job of blanking himself. He's going to have to work so hard to make that be an okay choice and not look at that. And I know that he did it to other people. I know that they both did it to other people. So that's an ongoing pattern of behaviour. That's not an isolated incident. This is somebody who, both of them, were doing this as a pattern, probably throughout the course of their life. And that's not just them. That's loads of guys are feeling that that's the best options. What the hell do you do with that? I don't know. But I wanted to talk about it because I'm super interested in other people's experience. I'm super interested to hear like your opinions, to have a discussion about it, because yeah, it's blown my mind, and it's blown my mind for the best part of my life, and it still continues to blow my mind, even though I research it, I think about it, I try and work ways around it, try and get over it. It's not quite the right way of thinking, because you can't get over something because that's part of my history, but live with it and understand it and help other people to maybe move not towards that but something else.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously you've done that, that's happened, and then now you're coping with that, and obviously like making it not happen would be a good idea to, well, I don't know, like a woman, what would you have done to stop that? You know, what could you have done, sort of thing? Like scream and shout, or stop, or what?
It's so much more entangled than that, isn't it? Because it's such a web in both circumstances. There's 4 stress responses. You've got fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And when you are being overpowered, the chances of you going to fight, you can't flight, you're not going to get away. Fight, you're not going to win. So you do freeze and you do fawn. Well, fawning is like, okay, right? And you do freeze, which is just like, so the chances of you being attacked, like in your mind's eye when you're young and you think, oh, if I get attacked, I'm going to punch him in the nuts, I'm going to poke him in the eye, I'm going to stick my finger up his arse, or I'm going to say this, or I'm going to do that. It doesn't work like that in actual practice, because certainly when I was in relationship, and I was in a relationship with this guy for quite a long time, and I had children with him, and it was a whole thing. When you're in a relationship with somebody, there's already a massive power imbalance. There's already my self-esteem has been crushed. There's already my network of people who could have supported me weren't available to me because he'd already ostracised me away from them. So, and I was already half his age, so I'm already in a really vulnerable situation for being powerful, and so my power was down. So I was not in a position to fight. I was not in a position to I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I feel guilty. I felt so guilty. I felt so personally not like worthy. And so when somebody does something and then they blame you, because almost always the abuser will have blamed the abused person, like it was my fault because I wasn't trusting enough, it was my fault because I wasn't giving him what he wanted, it was my fault because I'd led him on, it was my fault because I was in that situation, it was my fault because I was there, my fault, you know, and all of these things had been put onto me by both guys. And so I was already on the back foot. So I was like in a fawning, even though I was saying no, and I was clearly saying I really don't want to do this, I really don't want to do this, I really don't want to do this, this isn't what I want to do. They were in a position where, well, I don't care what you want. It doesn't really matter to me what you want because you're not doing what I want. Well, so then it's like, oh, you want this and I want that. Well, they just get what they want. Well, that's rape. But to them, it was just like, well, that's what you want and that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely from fella's point of view, like, oh no, he's having sex and you can feel the urge that you're going to want to come or whatever. And if your missus says, no, I don't want to do it anymore, you've got to stop that, no matter what your urges are. There's got to be a no, there's got to be a no if both parties, and it's not like a man's got to finish his job and a woman's got to say yes just because a man has started or thinks that they should go for the orgasms. Or even there's penetration or whatever it is. It's like there's got to be, from a men's point of view, you don't want to be in that position, and you should be able to take the word no, because that's a much more of a manly situation to be able to go, that's fine, no, I can understand, you know, you don't want to go through with that or go full hog and do whatever. There's got to be choices all round, and for a man to not be abused in his own mind, to think that he can get away with that sort of stuff. And obviously it's going to carry on for wherever many years and thousands or whatever, but it'll be decent if you can make one person or some people think about the word no, and think about that sexual activity is a point of connection. It's not about gratification as such. It's not about having, like, that's very simple gratification. You might as well bust your fucking balls so you don't feel like it. Because sex is not about simple gratifications, it's about connection. So if you're going around forcefully needing to finish your job, just gratify yourself. Don't involve other people. Like if you want to do simple gratifications, if you want connection, and then obviously to get connection, you've got to be participating in someone else's ideas and thinking about what, giving that person the dream of whatever they want in their lives. And that's how you should look at partners and things, is that they've got you went out of them because you saw their capabilities and you see their love and you see all that, and you try and make that all come out of them because you can see their perfect vision. And everyone goes up and down in their lives, and the person might not even know that they're the biggest flame in your life. And so just, you know, letting them know that they are the flame, and don't put the flame out by you just taking advantage, getting the things that you want, and basically following your penis, as they say, towards a feeling, because that's not going to give any type of connection or long-lasting feelings. And like Tyra says, if you're the abuser, you must be going away with an headache, like, for the rest of your life, because you've done horrible things. You know, I can remember doing like silly things to, I don't know, something like when you shut the door and somebody will boot the dog up the arse. It's just like you can't help but feel guilty because you've done something that not necessarily kind. So you won't get away, like I say, there's nothing you're going to get away with in life that won't have some sort of side effect, and that's whether it's good or bad or whatever it is. You ain't getting away with anything. If you eat a fucking pizza today, that means something that you gut by and don't like it, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily going to kill you, but there's little things that are disturbing and you want to try and stay away from them. But from bloke's perspective, you want to know that the woman, you're entering a woman, she's letting you in there, and you don't have to finish your job just because you're on top of her and she's got her legs open. That's not, she's still in control of her own life, still in control of her sexual things. You can't overpower that, and it's not.
The first time that what happened, I was 17, I think, at the time, and I went round to this guy's house who I sort of knew through friends, and we both had a drink, and I thought, and I did quite fancy him, and I was like, oh, I'll go round to him, get to know him a bit better, and that'd be fun. But his attitude was, well, you've come over to my flat in the night, what were you expecting? Like, you can't flirt with me and then not follow through. Like, you're taking the piss out of me coming up here and then not following through on, like, going ahead with having sex with me. And that was why he raped me, because as far as he was concerned, I needed to go through with what it was that I had been flirting with him. I quite fancied up until that point, obviously not afterwards. But and then even afterwards, I was so confused. Like, I didn't even realise I'd been raped, honestly. I just thought, oh, I was just so confused. It's the most confusing experience of your life, because you kind of fancy the person. Like, in this circumstance, I kind of fancied him. Like, he was a bit older. He was really attractive looking. He was sort of in the hierarchy of things, he was above me, you know, so he was quite cool, and he was knowledgeable, and he was probably had more money than me and all of this stuff, and he had his own flat, and I was only 17, so I'm turning up there like, oh wow, oh, this is amazing. But because of all of that, you don't even realise what's going on, because then I'm the sort of person, if somebody says to me, oh, it's your fault because of this, that and the other, I'll automatically put myself in their shoes and go, oh yeah, I see what you mean. So I'm not there going, that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm there going, oh shit, maybe I've been too flirtatious. Oh shit, maybe I've been too sort of like leading him on. Oh, maybe I've been giving out the wrong signals. Maybe I've done this, maybe I've done that. So I'm not sitting there thinking, this guy's an arsehole, fuck off. Which I would do now, but I'm 50 years old and I haven't been through that and had time to process it. But like at 17 years old, I'm not thinking that. And then, so, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying really. I'm just explaining my experience, I guess.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously if someone says, oh, I'm coming around for coffee, and you're always hopeful, but there's always in the moment stuff. Just because you're hopeful when you go around for coffee and you think, oh, this person's invited me to coffee, must be up for sex, and in your mind, you would think that, but even when you're round there for coffee, you might not come around to sex because it hasn't worked itself out to be that way, and it ain't connected and didn't work. So you can't, just because you're getting assumptions of going around, or you've ended up some birds around your house, it doesn't mean you can lie on the sofa and just take the piss out of her. There's always things that are, you're always in the moment with that. So like, I wouldn't expect to always to have that, to end up in sexual behaviour without that being taken up gently through the evening, just to you both saying yes. And obviously, like, to when you get someone saying no, that's could be hurtful. It could be lots of different feelings towards, I'm sitting here all night and she said no, and perhaps she don't fancy me and that, but that's just what you got to live with in life. You've got a lot of failures, you've got a lot of hurt, you've got a lot of misunderstandings, and you're forever dabbling as is life's happening. Like now we're making sentences and making words, and it's always evolving, and perhaps me and Tara be having sex on there for 5 minutes. I'm like, well, not inappropriate, yeah.
That's mind-breaking.
Yeah, but you never know where it's going, do you? So like, it's always happening as we're evolving and doing our thing. But if someone's saying no and someone's saying this, you don't want it. Why would you want that? That's an overpowerment. That's you not being strong and disciplined in your own self-love. Because why would you want to harm others and do other things if you love yourself? So you don't want to get in the way of self-love. If you love yourself, because little horrible things, they put you in your head and stop you from training, they stop you from thinking correctly, and they stop you from eating and all sorts of things if you don't do the appropriate things, because you feel the hindrance of not being the truthful person that you want to be.
Well, it's true even like in relationships, because obviously, I mean, that first story, that's a guy that I just met that evening and whatever. But even in a relationship, I ended up with this other guy, and the situation was that we were having conflict in our relationship, and I was trying really hard to make it work. I really wanted to make the relationship work. I'm sure he did as well. But there was all this conflict. Well, as a woman, one of the ways that you can sort of try and pacify that situation is through tenderness, through touch, through affection, through physical closeness. Or if you go to physical closeness and affection and touch and all of that with somebody who's angry with you, because that's a way of trying to pacify that situation, well, now you're having sex with somebody who's angry with you. Well, that's not great. That's really not great. That's a horrible situation to be in, because now you're having sex with somebody to try and calm them down, and you're not trying to say no in that situation, because you want them to feel loved so that they feel happier, so that they're nicer to you. So you're trying to like soothe the situation through love. You're trying to soothe the situation through affection. You're trying to soothe that situation through being giving, being compassionate, understanding their point of view. Well, now you're being compassionate, you're understanding that point of view, you're giving to somebody who's not reciprocating that. They're not doing the same back for you. They're not considering, is she really wanting this sex? Is she feeling like okay in herself for this to be a relaxing, connecting experience? Or is this something where she's giving something to me because she owes me, because she's a fucking bitch? Oh, because she's pissed me off about this, that and the other, or she fucking owes me anyway. Or it might not even be that thought through. I don't even think it's that logically sort of like processed. It's just literally, it's like if you're doing a interaction with somebody, some kind of negotiation, and you go, oh, thanks so much, it makes the other person feel as though they've done something for you, and so you slightly owe them. So there's like a power imbalance that happens.
Sort of sadistic
It's
behaviour.
like that. It's just sort of a weird thing.
And sometimes you hurt and you want to hurt someone else, and like sometimes you love someone, but you can see when you're like got pain in your own side, and that person's being nice, and you can make them feel pain. It's like sadistic type of weird values that you can get if you're not careful, because you're hurting yourself. It's all about self-love, to give a bit of love. If you're hurting and painful inside, it's you sort of want the environment to hurt at the same time. So yeah, you got to be careful with all this stuff, but generally women should be able to say no. You can't overpower them, and if you do touch them and go any further, it essentially is rape if you said no and it carries on. And you don't try and finish your geezer off just because he's on top of you and you think, oh, I should let him finish, and you're lying there sort of squinting your face up going, I don't really lie, it's in your own mind. It's to stop it there and then. Every person
That's it, yeah, that's the thing that which I've learned over through being with somebody that I do trust. Like at any moment's time, doesn't matter what sex we're having, at any point, I can say, stop. It really doesn't matter at all, does it? And you'll be respectful of that, because you'll know, oh, there's something's happened in the connection where I'm not feeling comfortable in that situation.
Self-empowerment for me as well, like to be able to like not use the gratification as my end game. I don't need that as my end game. I'm not interested. I'm interested in like breathing and wandering the planet and waving in the wind like a rose, if you like. I don't like having things that are supposed to make me have gratification and have an end game. I've learned that I don't enjoy that. I don't really enjoy it. I like connection, which gives freedom, it gives a longer permanence to your life. Simple gratifications don't give you freedom. They start again. As soon as that one's ended, you're on like a fag. You have a fag and you're onto another fag. It's like there's no end to it. So to have a essential freedom is to not take simple gratifications. So if people say no, and that means you're getting a longer gratification of splendidness and connection. You're not after a finish. You don't want no finishing. You want a longevity of life where you're just on that freedom of love, which sounds like something be 50s, 60s sort of thing, but that's what it feels like. I like being told no, and I like being the man who can take that on board and have it in my mind that that's okay, because that doesn't cause me any harm. It doesn't cause me harm. It causes me to be much more intellectually clever in myself and my soul. It helps my soul, helps me to feel okay, and that gives me longer freedoms in my life. And that's what relationships are about. They're like collective for freedom. You work together and you cause a place that you can't just get on your own. You can't find it on your own.
And it's that thing as well, like definitely I've been with people, and when you say no, it sounds so personal. It's like against them, like they're not good enough in bed, or they're not. It can so easily feel so personal if the guy's confidence isn't high enough. So because you've got good confidence, when I say no, it's because I'm not feeling this at this moment. It might be because I want you to do something different. It might be because I want to do something different. It might be for any number of reasons that we talk about. But that no isn't like I hate you and I don't want to have sex with you. It's not, I'm not feeling it. This isn't working for me at this moment for whatever reason. And quite often it's not working for me because I've got that history. So then I've got a whole nother like round of stuff to work through to make sure that I never will let myself be in a situation of saying yes for even a moment, not even for one split second, if I'm 100% not into this thing. And so that's my history that's informing that, and I'm more likely to say no because of that. But then that's quite helpful, because then I'm never going to do something, not even for a moment, not even for a split second, not anything, not like, oh, if you dribbled a bit of snot on me by accident, or I will always word up, and you're very able to hear that because your confidence is good. But your confidence is good because you look after your health, you're responsible, you do all of the things that make you feel like a responsible, like sensible person.
And it's working on relationships as well. All that power of me and Tara, like getting that non-simple gratification takes a lot of thinking, a lot of like subject working for a long time. A lot of women who you're gonna say they text you up and they're like after a fuck or whatever, they've got problems in their own life. So like you don't really want to be going around laying it out everywhere you can. I mean, like be a young lad and testing around, and that's what you're doing. But when you've got birds ringing you up, texting you up, telling you to come round, they've got fucking problems. So you don't want to be. And then that means that you're running into that problem as well. So trying to find somewhere with depth in those sort of circumstances, you're going to find it hard. So just try and look for free, like long-term type of, not long-term in relationships as such, but just a feeling of like, where you can take no and you can be independent and self-loving, like we said, food and everything else. Be self-loving, so when you go to someone else might, like a woman might offer you more sex, but you can help them self-love, and that way you don't have to simple gratification. Like it's just that's the word knows, and being able to handle all that stuff is going to give you depth, and that's what's really important. Is the depth of your relationships, where you can then talk to each other and intertwine together, and that means even every type of thing you're doing with human beings is not looking for fast endings. You're trying to make it so you're all coming together and getting more and more power in the togetherness, not in I'm on my own as a winner.
Yeah, you always like encourage me, like especially in the beginning years where I found it really difficult to prioritise my own feelings, didn't I? I was just always like, my natural tendency is to sort of go, oh, is that other person to be like you could call it people pleasing, you could call it lack of my own self-worth, but to just always put myself in the other person's shoes, which can be a really useful characteristic. I wouldn't be without it. Like compassion's really useful, isn't it? And empathy's useful and all of those things, but you actually took it as your job to make sure that within our sexual context I wasn't doing that. Didn't you?
Yeah, totally. I don't want to. It was about a woman who's not telling you what they want. Like, it's easy to overpower people, like, especially if you've got certain intelligence and you're good at vocabulary and you've got alluring sensibilities or whatever at work. Like, it's easy to do that, but to get on with people and actually listen and understand someone else, that's a different ball game, and that's got a lot of it takes a lot of thinking and a lot of gives you a lot of energy to giving is one of the biggest things, and receiving is one of the God's gifts of life. Is like to give your best comes back in a manner of where it's very, very spiritual, beautiful thing to do. Is working together. It's not.
Yeah, and that receiving is a skill in itself that I've had to work on. Because to receive love is as much of a skill as to give love. It really is.
Yeah, receiving is a massive empowerment.
It's very, to receive love without, and that's the massive juggle, isn't it? If you've been in an abusive relationship, how do you accept and trust what you're receiving?
Without having some sort of
without having that
potential benefit
voice,
for the other person.
Yeah, without having that voice going, are they doing this for me or are they doing this for them? So it's a juggle I'm constantly playing with.
Yeah, I think that's enough. And Tara's on. Obviously, where you get hold of me, you talk to me, and Tara's on your Facebook, isn't you? If you want to get contact.
Tara Bentel. If you want to talk about any of this stuff.
Yeah, how do you spell that? Just Tara.
TaraBentall.
Tara Bentel, and obviously it's got his picture there, your face to notice.
Yeah, you'll see me.
So yeah, just if you don't want to talk to me, and any women, and there's a lot of women who want to talk, go straight to Tara. You've got a lot of, you've done lots of beautiful things over the years. You've been always helping, and for all your life.
Yeah.
You've had always all the subjects she's ever been to is some sort of tender, helpful, loving, and selfless, if you like. She's been selfless doing what she does.
Well, that sounds too Mother Teresa. I don't think.
No, but I think you do a lot of things. It takes a lot of energy, doesn't it? You're always saying you're working and you're giving out loads, and it makes you feel tired because you give so much. So you're giving all the time. So just
It gives a lot back to me as well, doesn't it? It gives a lot back to me.
Yeah, but yeah. So like Tara Bendel, go and see Tara if you want to talk to her, and you can private DM with her, and obviously you're all in the same boat. It's always private basically. Ain't going nowhere. We ain't using it. We're not putting it up nowhere, and we're there just to help. Talk about everyday living. And you ain't got to pay for a therapist, and you ain't got to. It's just everyday people. Everyday people. Anyway, happy?
Yeah, good.
Love you loads.